For the people who have just come in, I'll repeat once again. I am the moderator for this panel titled Art of Investing. I'm Balachandar, co-founder of Startup Singam, and I have an excellent panel along with me today. When we talk about art of investing, there is actually, it's not just an art, there is also a science behind that. Investment, there is different sizes that's happening, right? You start with angel investments, which are, many of you are HNIs here who want to invest. Then there is organized investment, whether in terms of a venture capital, private equity, or a fund. So we have a very varied panel here representing different aspects. I have Mr. Devanand from a family office. So I will have Devanand sir introduce and speak a little bit more about his organization. Devanand sir, you are representing a family office, and we would like you to talk about your organization and your ethos behind investing, and then we'll take it one by one.
Hello. So I'm Devanand. I represent a family office in the name of Navyug Global Ventures. We are a second generation business family. So after being 30 years into the business, when the next generation came in, they wanted to get into one startup investments. That's how this family office was created. And we primarily invest into early stage revenue companies. So that's our thing. And we are sector agnostics. Though we started as an EV and mobility as a space, today we keep investing into anything which is related to deep tech or manufacturing sector or a service sector. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yeah. So our second speaker panelist for the day is Mr. Chandrasekar Kupperi. So from a family office, we moved to someone who runs a fund, who started off as an angel investor, but now has an established fund called Peaceful Progress. Chandrasekar sir, over to you if you can give a self-introduction.
Very happy evening. A very happy evening. Good evening to all of you. First of all, thank you for being here this evening, and thanks to Startup Singam for the opportunity, as well as to UEF for giving us this opportunity. I started my journey in the world of investment as an angel investor. So this was 7 years back, and the motivation for me to become an angel investor is the amazing startups that we have here, including some of the founders who are my friends. I think the way the angel investment has sort of taken off in this country is unbelievable in the last 10 years. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having these sessions. So in terms of my background, after this angel investment, I started investing in many funds also. So as of now, I've invested in more than 70 startups, and I'm also part of 10 funds. But that gave me the motivation to even start my own fund. So my fund is called Peaceful Progress. It's now 3.5 years old. And the fund basically invests in technology, consumer, and mobility startups. And we are basically stage agnostic, which means we want to invest across stages, could be even a pre-seed or maybe a series A, B, or C. But we want to ensure that we are able to support the startup if we see that there is a fitment in terms of what they are doing and how it resonates with the fund. So that's what we do.
Thank you, Chandrasekar sir. I think we can do with a round of applause for each of the speakers when they introduce. So the third panelist is Arun. Arun is the CEO of Startup Singam. Arun, a little bit about Startup Singam and what you're doing.
So, hi, thanks Bala. Startup Singam is India's first regional language televised platform for startups to raise funds. So we go with a simple mission: simplify the fundraising process for startups and amplify the success stories. Create a platform where startup stories can be told loud and can be heard. Another thing that we do is we try to work with HNIs and ultra HNIs and see if we'll be able to go ahead and have them look at startup startup investment also as an asset class. So these are primarily that we do. As the evening unfolds, we'll talk more about our experiences in the last season. We're coming up with the second season next month, so we'll talk about it in the journey.
So thanks, Arun. So I have a varied audience here. So we'll do a small exercise as to understand the audience profile here. So how many of us here invest in gold? Can you put up your hands, please? Including the panelists. Gold, right? Okay. So about 20%. How many of us here invest in real estate? Okay. So how many invest in stock market through SIPs, mutual funds, and shares? Okay. So most of the 25-30% investors here invest in all three asset classes, which I mentioned just now. Now, how many of you here invest in startups, early stage startups? So I have 1, 2, 3 hands up there, and of course the 3 gentlemen here. So it's a fairly young crowd as far as angel investments are concerned. So, so I'll bring it in perspective, right? இப்போ நம்ம வந்து business ஆரம்பிக்கணும்னு நினைக்கிறோம். Many of us think of starting businesses, but starting business is a completely different ball game. So somewhere when there's additional capital, one good way would be also to look at investing in startups and new businesses. So now when you want to start that journey of investing in businesses and diversify your portfolio, let's say you have X amount to invest, maybe a 5%, 10% into early stage startups. What are the things that you need to look in for is what we will say, talk about today. And there is both an art and a science to investing in startups. So when a startup invest pandrathu, it's not always that, we tend to find investment opportunities among friends or close circle. Sometimes we have to evaluate people outside our circles to see the right opportunity. Sometimes even inside our close circle, we need to evaluate with a different lens in order to see whether this is the right opportunity. So first I would like to take upon this topic of art of investing, right? So there is a qualitative aspect when you invest. Each of you have their own methodology. Of course, the large part of the qualitative aspect is the founder, right? I want one by one each of you to share your thoughts on the art behind selecting the right founder. How does that fit happen? And when a founder walks into your room and starts talking to you, what's the thing that impresses you the most? Devanand sir first.
If any founder comes, or founder நம்மட்ட முன்னாடி வந்து உட்காரும்போது, like, okay, you are comfortable in Tamil or shall I continue in English? Both. Tanglish, okay. So when a founder comes and sits before us, the first thing what we see is, does he has a real passion towards what he's trying to say? And is he convicted in running that business? And third thing is he there having a complete knowledge about what business he's talking about? So complete knowledge அப்படினு சொல்லப்போனா அப்படினா வந்து he may not be knowing everything of the business per se. He may not be most of the startup founders don't understand finance. Most of the startup founders may not understand logistics. Most of the startup founders may not understand recruiting. But at least do they have a complete knowledge in the field which they want to start a business? So in the moonu vishayam vandu, if we are able to find out with them, we are in principle okay to further our discussions with them.
First, in the angel investment, if you ask me, it's very, very addictive. And addictive in a good sense. Trust me, once you become an angel investor, a couple of those who raise their hands, I'm pretty sure it's very, very addictive for us to keep investing. But of course, we all know that startup success is not immediate. The startup success takes time. So Bala, when I began my journey as an angel investor, I had both hesitation as well as excitement. Excitement because there was an opportunity for me to look at some amazing startups which can give me significant returns, and therefore I can also accumulate wealth. Hesitation because the startup success rate, as we all know, is not that significant, which means startup success is rarely immediate. That's what we all know. So I used to tell myself that this investment as angel is not for the faint-hearted. If you have a faint heart, satyama adu kitta pove kudadu. But then, what is it that I did, in terms of qualitatively to understand how I can become better in this investment world? Initially, I invested by myself into startups. Nariya bulb vaangina. So if you invest by yourself in startups, probably you don't have that experience because you're doing it by yourself. And அந்த சமயத்தை நான் என்ன யோசிச்சேன், நம்ம ஒரு சார்ட் அக்கௌண்டன்ட், நம்ம நம்பர்ஸ்லாம் நல்லா தெரியும், பிஸ்னஸ் நல்லா தெரியும், இப்படியே சொல்லி ஏமாந்து நம்ம இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணிட்டோம். I think one of the most important lessons that I learned in the world of startup investment is how can we even gain the understanding from fellow investors? Which means one of the simplest things that we need to do is how do I ensure that I'm able to connect with the network and I'm able to understand this art of investment so that I'm becoming better in this art. So that's what started happening with me. I started becoming part of certain angel networks. I became part of certain funds, and I was able to fine tune and sharpen my skill set. Not that I'm too sharp now, I'm still sharpening. But the fact is that that is one qualitative skill set that one needs to first develop before even looking at the founders. So the first thing I did was becoming better in terms of understanding how should I look at. What should you look at? The very first thing I decided was, as we all say, the founder market fit. What is founder market fit? ரெண்டு விஷயம் தான். நம்ம இந்த AI சொல்றோம் இல்லையா? What is AI? Artificial intelligence. சத்தியமா என் உலகத்தில் அது கிடையாது. AI is the founder absolutely involved. Only when that AI is there with the founder, or trust me, then I think you can bet on the founder, because we always say we bet on the jockey, not the horse. The first AI adudha. The second is, do they have ML? What is ML? Machine learning. Em bhashal machine learning kadayadu. Mindful learning. Are they willing to learn? Because why am I investing? I am investing because I've got certain experience and I also want to guide. For example, I'm sure Dev Sarla, Nariya startups guide pandra. So is the case with Bala and Arun. So one of the things that we want to invest is because we also want to guide the startup. So we want to see whether mindfully are they willing to learn. In fact, I have a phrase. If the founder doesn't have CTC, CTC is not cost to the company. It is unless they are coachable, teachable, correctable, I don't even want to invest in them. So that's the second thing that I realized about the founders. And the third for me, founder, because founder has to develop a team, is DL. DL is not deep learning. DL is disciplined leadership. So in the world of AI, ML, DL that we all speak of, I thought if the founder is someone who can be absolutely involved, somebody who has got this mindful learning and the ability to show a disciplined leadership, I think that can help, for me to evaluate better. That was the first. The second is, I'm a fan of problem and solution. I always say that if a problem is well defined, the problem is half solved. So one of the things I always look at this founders and the team is how deep they have gone into the problem, even to explain the problem better. Because if the problem is large, you will be able to find that many customers. Avla customers endha market irukum. Avla market endha revenue irukum. Revenue endha naanga invest panna varuvom. So the SAM is dependent in terms of how big the problem is. If the problem is popular, urgent, growing, expensive, mandatory, or trust me, you will have specific customers with real needs, and therefore you'll be able to have a sizable revenue. So first on the founder market, second on the problem solution, third, everybody knows it's called the product market fit. You should build the right product that is able to solve the customer problem. If the founders are able to do that, I think we get enough motivation to look at them. I'm not saying that we'll always invest, but enough motivation for us to look at them. These are some of the qualitative factors.
Absolute wonderful use of terminology and abbreviations. So round of applause during the evening time, I think, to ramp up energy. So how many of us here are looking to raise money? Can we put up our hands? Any startups, any businesses looking to raise money? Actually, there's more than angel investors here who are looking to raise money. Good. So then you are the right man you have to go to is Arun. So Arun, Startup Singam as a platform, you have 3,000 applications coming. I think this season we hit 3,000 applications. On what basis you and your team, of investors select and finalize the 75 finalists? If you can take us through, that will probably help the people who want to raise money in this room understand that how they can get start listed.
See, well, I'll answer this question in two parts. One is our experience in season one. When we did season one, if you look at it, 60% of the startups were mostly not investable, or 60% of the startups had, the only strong thing was a passionate founder or seemingly passionate founder and a good story. But if you look at it, right, this time we have like around 60% of the applications who have at least some kind of, somebody is in a revenue stage, some kind of attraction is there. So there has been a considerable change from what we had last season to this season. So the investor's job is also becoming a little more difficult, because we have from a 3,000, we have been able to take at least like around 45 startups from the phase one, and we are going for the phase two applications right now. So what we are looking at is two things. One, what he said is absolutely right, the founder market fit. And if it is an early stage startup, we are actually looking for somebody who's coachable, trainable, somebody who's open to feedbacks, somebody who's not adamant and my product first and the Madri attitude. And one of the biggest criteria that we also need to look at is beyond angel investors, beyond institutional investors. So right now I can proudly say that one of the largest platform in Tamil Nadu when it comes to angel investors. So I have anybody who is doing a check size of some, say 25 to 50 lakhs angel investment to somebody who can in one single check do 100 crore to 200 crore. So I have a wide array of investors. So I'm talking about 50 plus institutions and around 200 plus individuals who has joined us in the journey in the last 1 year. So there is any startup comes in, right? It doesn't matter what stage you come in. If you are a student startup, I have an incubator to support. And if you are looking at a PE, I have say an Anicut or a Blue Hill who can actually back you. So I have a wide array of investors. So right now what I'm focusing is, so I will look at the investors that I have in the mix, and I will also see which are the startups. So right now my job is more of a matchmaking.
Thanks. So one of the other important aspects I want you three to talk about is startup and a small business, right? There are many of us here who might run a small business but are looking for investments. How does it qualify as a startup, right? Is there some way that will qualify as a startup and will make it more exciting for investors like you to look at? That would probably help the audience as well. So going with you, Devanand sir. Chandrasekar sir, please.
I mean, this is a brilliant question, in fact. This is a very good question. And reason why I say very good question is, I don't know how many of you know, startup has got a definition. And the definition of startup is a company that is designed to grow very quickly. And the last rendu vaartha romba important, very quickly. So the startup is always, a company that is registered with the DPIIT, and DPIIT says that I can give you the benefits only within the 10 years. For example, I run a fund which is called Angel Fund, and there's one more restriction for startup. If the turnover is behind 100 crore, I can't even invest in that startup. So 10 years and then 100 crore. So what is startup? Startup, we are looking at something, which does something from a tech angle also, which is creating some level of disruption. We're not speaking about blue ocean. If it is a blue ocean, fantastic. But we all know that blue ocean is rare. The only thing we are saying is that don't be in the red ocean. Be above the red ocean. Do something that is differentiated. Just to give an example, Ritesh Agarwal, who is the founder of OYO, he says something so beautifully. He says, we should build something that 100 people love using rather than build something that 1,000 people will just kind of like. This is our marketing session, the influence session. The like, we need users. That's exactly what startup does. Because the business I run, which is called Anova, which is into investment banking, is a lifestyle business. It is my choice when to come, when to go, whom to employ, whom not to employ, should I need board members, should I not need, which auditors I should choose. It's all my lifestyle. I can be on my own. I'm under no pressure. But the startup is not like that. A startup has to demonstrate that they're able to scale faster. Now look at this. What is a startup? A startup is actually struggling with scarce resources. So the money, time, energy is scarce. Within that scarce time, money, resource, they'll have to find a viable business model before they run out of that time, money, resource. Why many startups fail? Because they run out of either time or the money or the resources that they're able to mobilize. So what is startup? For me, a startup has to be more resourceful than looking for resources. I know all of us need money, but we can't get money all the time. So how do we manage, in that bridge? I think that resourcefulness is what startup is able to show. That's one. Second, startups are very disruptive. I used to work for big organizations, ExxonMobil, KPMG, Yardley of London. All these are big companies. Most big companies, we call them as elephants. Elephants don't dance. Elephants can't do something which is very disruptive. There's a lot of bureaucracy. Oh, trust me, there used to be heavy bureaucracy in the organizations where I worked. We had the money. But then we used to have a lot of, processes and question marks. By the time, the proposal won't even get approved. Startup appdi kadayadu. Startups are agile, startups are nimble. That's a huge difference, between a lifestyle business, which is aram se, compared to, definitely there is a speed, that is required in the world of startup. I always say that venture is all about speed investment. A venture is all about speed investment. Even for a venture fund like me, if I'm not fast in investing, somebody else will come and latch on. That's exactly the world of startup. Both the startup and the venture funds, we need to demonstrate that we have a sense of urgency to grow, and that's exactly how a startup is defined.
Beautifully put it, sir, in terms of what a startup is. I think disruption and growth, those are the essential elements, two elements in a startup. Devanand, sir, your thoughts which you can add on to Chandrasekar, sir.
Sir, if somebody is having a very good idea, but they don't have money like scarcity, or they don't have the knowledge of other things, or they don't have an equal manpower with them. But if they have this idea which can be scalable, ஒரு இடத்துல உட்காந்து வியாபாரம் பண்ணுறதுக்கு நம்ம வெளியாட்டிருந்து பணம் கேட்க போகிறதில்ல. நம்ம பண்ணக்கூடிய பிஸ்னஸ் இந்தியா ஃபுல்லாகவும் ஸ்ப்ரெட் பண்ண முடியும், உலகம் ஃபுல்லாக ஸ்ப்ரெட் பண்ண முடியும் நம்ம நினச்சோம் அப்படின்னா, அதுக்கு தேவையான பேங்கிங் எப்படி, ஃபண்ட்ஸ் எப்படி கிடைக்கும், அந்த க்ரோத்துக்கான யார் யார் சப்போர்ட் பண்ணுவாங்க, கவர்மெண்ட்டில் என்னென்ன ஸ்கீம்ஸ் இருக்குது, இதெல்லாம் தெரிஞ்சுக்கணும்னு ஆசைப்பட்டோம் அப்படின்னா அங்கே தான் ஸ்டார்ட்அப்ங்கிற ஒரு விஷயமே வருது. ஸோ பணம் இருக்கிறவங்க வெளியே போய் பணம் கேட்க போகிறதில்ல, அவங்களுக்கு வேணுங்கிறத அவங்க செஞ்சுக்க போகிறாங்க. ஆனால் என்கிட்ட ஒரு அருமையான ஒரு ஐடியா இருக்குது, ஆனால் என்கிட்ட பணம் இல்லை, எனக்கு சப்போர்ட் பண்ணுற மக்கள் இல்லை, இல்லை அதுக்கான ஒரு டீம் எனக்கு கிடைக்கல, எனக்கு வீட்லேயே எனக்கு சப்போர்ட் கிடைக்க மாட்டேங்குது. அப்படி இருக்கும்போது அப்போது ஒரு பர்சன் வெளியே ஒரு ஒரு செய்யணும்னு நினச்சாருன்னா, தட்ஸ் வேர் ஆக்சுவலி ஒரு ஸ்டார்ட் அப்புங்கிற விஷயம் உருவாகுது. அப்போது இன்றைக்கி தமிழ்நாடு ஆகட்டும் இல்லை இந்தியா ஆகட்டும், ஸ்டார்ட் அப் இந்தியா மூலமாக நிறைய ஃபெசிலிட்டி எக்கோசிஸ்டம் இருக்குது. இங்கே ஒன் ஆஃப் த மேஜர் எக்கோசிஸ்டம் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா ஸ்டார்ட் அப் சிங்கம். இங்கே ஸ்டார்ட் அப் சிங்கத்தில் இப்போ ஈவன் டிஎன் ஸ்டார்ட் அப் எடுத்திங்கனாலும் சரி, நெக்ஸ்ட் ஸ்டார்ட் அப் சிங்கம் எடுத்திங்கனாலும் சரி, ஒரு ஐடியாவோட ஒருத்தர் உள்ளே போகும்போது அந்த ஐடியாவை மென்டர் பண்ணுறதுக்குன்னு ஒரு எக்கோசிஸ்டம் இருக்குது. அந்த அவங்களுக்கு மென்டர் பண்ணிட்டுக்கப்புறம் அவங்களுக்கு எடுத்துகிட்டு போய் ஃபண்ட்ஸ் கொடுக்க வைக்கிறதுக்கு ஒரு இன்குபேஷன் சென்டர்ஸ் இருக்குது. அந்த ஒன்ஸ் அவங்க இன்குபேட் ஆகிட்டுக்கப்புறம் ஒரு ஏர்லி ஸ்டேஜ் ஒரு சின்ன ஒரு ஃபண்ட்ஸ் நெக்ஸ்ட் லெவலில் க்ரோ ஆகிறதுக்கு ஒரு ஏஞ்சல் இன்வெஸ்டர்ஸ் இருக்காங்க. அந்த க்ரோத் நெக்ஸ்ட் ஸ்டேஜ் போயிட்டுக்கப்புறம் அங்கேருந்து நெக்ஸ்ட் லெவலுக்கு அவங்க போகணும் அப்படின்னா விசிஸ் இருக்காங்க. ஸோ இது எல்லாத்தையும் கொண்டு வரக்கூடிய ஒரு பிளாட்ஃபார்மாக இன்றைக்கி ஒரு ஸ்டார்ட் அப் சிங்கம் சூப்பராக வந்திருக்கு. இன்றைக்கி ஒரு டைனிங் டேபிளில் ஒரு அம்மா, தங்கச்சி, அப்பா, தாத்தா, பாட்டி எல்லாரும் உட்காந்து டிஸ்கஸ் பண்ணக்கூடிய விஷயம் ஒரு வீட்டுக்குள்ளே எடுத்துகிட்டு போய் ஸ்டார்ட் அப்னா புரிய வச்ச விஷயம் நிச்சயமாக ஸ்டார்ட் அப் சிங்கமாக தான் இருக்க முடியும். ஸோ அந்த விதத்தில் ஐ ரியலி அப்ரிஷியேட் அருண் அண்ட் ஸ்டார்ட் அப் சிங்கம் டீம் ஃபார் தர் எஃபர்ட்ஸ். ஸோ இந்த சீசனில் இன்னும் உங்களுக்கு அதுக்கான பெனிட்ரேஷன் இன்னும் ஜாஸ்தியாகும், லாங்கர் சீசன். அண்ட் ஐ எம் ஷுர் தட் டவுன் டு 3-6 months 1 year டவுன் த லைன் உங்கள் வீட்டில் இருக்கிற ஒவ்வொருத்தரும் நிச்சயமாக உங்கள் வீட்டில் அட்லீஸ்ட் ஒருத்தராச்சும் நான் ஒரு ஸ்டார்ட் அப் நான் பண்ணலான் இருக்கேன் அப்படின்னு உங்கள் என்னைக்கா ஒரு வார்த்தை சொன்னாங்கன்னா அது ஆச்சரியப்படுறதுக்கு இல்லை. இப்படி ஒரு விஷயம் வராதான் போகுது. That's a transformation which we are seeing in the society.
தேங்க்யூ சார். அருண் பேச வேண்டியதெல்லாம் நீங்கள் சொல்லிட்டீங்க, அருணுக்கு இல்லை பேசுகிறதுக்கு. ஸோ அருண், நீங்கள் இப்போ ஃபில்டர் பண்ணுறதுக்கு ஸ்டார்ட் அப்ஸ் இப்போது வாட் இஸ் த வாட் மேக்ஸ் அன் இன்வெஸ்டபிள் கம்பெனி? இப்போ சிம்பிளாக சொல்லணும்னா இங்கே 10 பேருக்கு ஹேண்ட் ரைஸ் பண்ணாங்க, தே வாண்ட் டு ரேஸ் மணி. வாட் ஆர் த பேசிக் 5-6 things you will say for them to become an investable company?
See Bala, wherever we go and we do an event or something, or we ask a question, how many of you guys want money for your startup, 80% of the hands will automatically go up. But do you really need that money? And if you are actually going ahead and taking the money, at what risk are you going to take the money? So if you are taking money from an investor, what are the terms with which that investor is coming in? So I've seen very sad cases, right, where in very early stage startups have given around for a exchange of very small amount of money, given around 60-70% of their company. So what are you going to do with that 30% of the company? What are you going to do at the next level? So always, see, there is always a lot of capital available for the right startup. And do not do a startup only with the intention of raising money. Raising money should be your least of the priorities, right? So one, you should know why you are raising, from whom you are raising, and when you are raising, and if you are raising, why you are raising. So if you have answer to all these 4 questions, and these are not answers that comes from your ChatGPT or these are not your Googled answers, and the fundraise should not be for a social status or for a self-satisfaction. The fundraise is when you have a clear roadmap, 6 months, in the 9 months, but if I infuse X amount of money, I will be able to do this at 2 times faster. So if that is the case, that is when you should actually start looking for money. Otherwise, do not raise money. Always get a mentor. Always be in, so this is one advice I give to all the startups, irrespective whether they are fundraising or not. So you know who are the people who would be funding in you. Tomorrow if I'm starting a business, so I know that who are the people who will fund me at 6 months, who are the people who will actually help me in my pre-seed round, who are the people who will do my Series A fund. But I will make sure that I will go ahead and keep everybody in loop, irrespective what are small. So I'm not talking about sending out your newsletter. So a lot of startups do that. They send a newsletter which has got a 3-page content. No. So you have a big customer that comes in. Just send a one-liner. Hi boss, wanted to let you know that we have onboarded them. That's all. So that actually what happens is you are there in the investor's mind. Down the line, 10 years or 5 years down the line, you go to Chandrasekar Kupperi sir, and he should not be thinking, hey, who is this guy? That by then, Chandrasekar Kupperi should have that thought, right? Oh, this is the guy who has done this. Or even if he is not able to invest, and if it doesn't fall in his area of interest, he would immediately tell Devanand, hey, have a look at this. So these guys have been following. So he wouldn't say that these guys have been following me. He would obviously say that I have been following these guys for the last 5 years. Have a look at it. He would be able to make a reference even without you knowing. So do not raise funds for the sake of it. The equity is the biggest asset that you can have as a business owner. So be very careful with whom you are sharing your equity.
Thanks, Arun. Nalla answer, but Anna, I get a question where. So I will maybe let Chandrasekar answer that. So to make an investable company, what are the 5 things that we'll...
அதாவது பாலாக்கு இந்த காமெடி பண்ண ரொம்ப பிடிக்கும். அதாவது நான் தான் நிறைய அடி வாங்கியிருக்கேன், ஏஞ்சலாக இருந்திருக்கேன், விசியாக இருந்திருக்கேன். ஓகே, ஸோ பாலா, இட்ஸ் அ வெரி இன்ட்ரெஸ்டிங் கொஸ்டின். வி ஹாவ் அ ஃப்ரேம்ஒர்க். த ஃப்ரேம்ஒர்க் இஸ் கால்ட் 4M. 4 M. First M is called market. First of all, is the founder or the founding team, have they understood that the market is large? If the market is large, if the market is favorable, then first of all, that itself gives us excitement. So it should be a large, favorable market. அதனால தான் நான் சொன்னேன் இந்த problem solution பத்தி. Is the problem also large? Because only when the problem is also large, you'll be able to find that many customers. You'll have specific customers with real needs. In fact, Nelson Mandela, இப்போ ஏன் எடுத்து வரேன் நான் சொல்கிறேன் உங்களுக்கு. நெல்சன் மண்டேலா ரொம்ப அழகாக ஒரு ஸ்டேட்மெண்ட் சொன்னார். There is no passion to be found playing small in settling for a life that is less than the one that we are capable of living. ஒரு ஸ்டார்ட் அப் ஃபவுண்டர் இப்படி தான் யோசிக்கணும். லார்ஜர் தென் லைஃப். They have to think much more bigger. The magic of thinking big. அது இருந்தால் தான் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஆஃப் ஆல் எங்களுக்கு எக்ஸைட்மெண்ட் இருக்கும். ஸோ the first important fundamental is market size. Is it big enough? அதான் நாங்கள் மெயினாக நாங்கள் பார்க்குறோம். The second M is the model, the business model. We always say that ideas never fail. It's the business model that fails. Are you able to revisit the business model whenever you find that the business model is failing? இது ஒரு வார்த்தை இருக்கு, pivot னு சொல்லி. So what is pivot? You don't change your vision, you only change your strategy to get to your business success. So we always want the founders to be agile and nimble to understand that what makes them successful. Is the business model disruptive? Is it differentiated? Do they have a clear GTM? Go to the market strategy. Do they have an omni-channel selling strategy? இன்னைக்கு நம்ம influencer marketing பத்தி பார்த்தோம். That is one strategy. What about the other selling strategy? Most important. Are you going to be profitable at least in the end? Which means profitable monetization. ஏன்னா முக்காசி ஸ்டார்ட்அப்ஸ் நீங்க பார்த்தீங்கன்னா when they begin, they are in losses for 3-4 years. But the question is, after 3-4 years, 5th or 6th year, you need to get into profits. So we always say that sales is vanity, timure, profit is sanity, buddhisalitano, and cash flow is reality. If you don't show the cash flow, then I think, it is not right for the startup, to even raise the money. So model, your model has to be strong. Third M, management, which is all the founding team itself. Teamwork makes the dream work. How solid you are. அது ரொம்ப இம்பார்ட்டன்ட். நாங்கள் அதை பார்க்குறோம். In fact, we want you to actually do things rather than say. I always say that well done is better than well said. நீங்கள் பண்ணி காமிங்களே, rather than just telling us that நாங்கள் இப்படி பண்ணுறோம். ஏன் வாயால் சொல்கிறீங்க? Just do it and then show us. Showing is better than saying. Pandi coming, that you're able to really show the capability that you're much more stronger. And finally, the last term is momentum. I'm a pakka chartered accountant, end of the day you have to measure. I always say that if you can't measure, you can't manage. If you can't manage, you can't control. If you can't control, you can't direct. What cannot be directed can never become business. So in the 4M, ரொம்ப important. One on the market, understand that the market has to be large, problem has to be large so that you can find that many customers. Second, the model itself, challenge the model. Please understand that your model is what makes us feel much more excited. மூணாவது ரொம்ப important, நீங்க management. We always said it is not in the power of idea that success lies, it is always in the power of execution. How well as a management you can execute it. And finally, momentum, which is nothing but show some tangible movement. என்னத்தை crack பண்ணீங்க? Have you cracked something? Is your model credible? Do you have a capital asset model? Do you also believe in corporate governance? இதெல்லாம் தான் நாங்கள் பார்க்குறோம். இந்த 4M இருந்ததுன்னா, trust me, the analyst in my fund will be much more excited to review.
Certain percentage நீங்கள் ஏன் ஒரு ஸ்டார்ட் அப் இன்வெஸ்ட்மெண்ட்டை போடக்கூடாது? ஸோ முக்கியமாக வந்து இப்போ இந்த UEF மெம்பர்ஸில் மேஜர் பார்த்தீங்க அப்படின்னா இன்ட்ரெஸ்ட் வாங்கக்கூடாது, ஆனால் பிஸ்னஸில் பார்ட்னர் ஆக முடியும். ஸோ நீங்கள் வந்து ஒருத்தருக்கு வந்து போய் நீங்கள் ஒரு அவங்களுக்கு தேவையானவங்களுக்கு வந்து நீங்கள் அவங்களுக்கு இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணி அந்த பிஸ்னஸில் நீங்கள் ஒரு ஃபண்டிங் பார்ட்னரை வந்து அவங்கள வளர்கிறதுக்கு ஒரு வாய்ப்பாக இருக்கக்கூடாது. இட் வில் பி அ பிக்கஸ்ட் கம்யூனிட்டி பில்டிங். தட்ஸ் இட்.
அப்சல்யூட்லி சார். ஐ திங்க் நல்லா கிளாப் பண்ணலாம் சார். 12,000 ஸ்டார்ட் அப்ஸ் இருக்குது தமிழ்நாட்டில். எவ்வளோ வந்து ஒரு ஆர்கனைஸ் செட் ஆஃப் இன்வெஸ்டர்ஸ் எவ்வளோ இருக்காங்கன்னு ஒரு கெஸ் பண்ணுங்க. ஏஞ்சல் இன்வெஸ்டர்ஸ் ஒரு 10,000, ஒரு 5,000 இல்லை. ரெஜிஸ்டர்ட் ஆர் ஆக்டிவ் ஏஞ்சல் இன்வெஸ்டர்ஸ் வந்து 500 பேருக்கு மேலே இல்லை தமிழ்நாட்டில். ஸோ அது ஏன்னா நம்ம வந்து ஏஞ்சல் இன்வெஸ்ட்மெண்ட்டை ஒரு அசெட் கிளாஸாக பார்க்கல. What we are doing now with Startup Singam and with investors like this is that making each one of us look at angel investment as a asset class which you can put. Of course, it's risky asset class. Don't have to put 25% of your savings into that, but keep aside 5%, 2%, whatever you can think that you can lose. Why I'm saying this bold statement that think that you can lose now, it is a risky asset class. We have to be clear about that. Some businesses work, some don't work. You சொன்னார் இல்லையா, அந்த மொமெண்டம் வரணும், அந்த ஸ்பீடு வரணும், அந்த டிஸ்ரப்ஷன் இருக்கணும்னு. அதில் வந்து சான்சஸ் ஆஃப் ஃபெயிலியர் ஜாஸ்தி. ஸோ நான் எல்லாருக்கும் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் டைம் இன்வெஸ்டர்ஸ்க்கு கேட்டால் என்ன சொல்லுவேன்னா, சார் உங்ககிட்ட ஒரு சர்ப்ளஸ் இருக்கா, நீங்கள் கோயிலுக்கு எவ்வளோ கொடுக்க முடியும், அந்த அமௌண்ட்டை வந்து நீங்கள் ஸ்டார்ட் அப்பில் போடுங்க. கோயிலுக்கு கொடுத்ததா நினச்சிக்கோங்க. ஸோ யூ டோன்ட் எக்ஸ்பெக்ட் சம்திங் பேக். பட் வென் சம்திங் ஸ்டார்ட்ஸ் மூவிங் ஃபார்வர்ட், தென் யூ ஸ்டார்ட் பில்டிங் அ போர்ட்ஃபோலியோ, தென் யூ see a sure short way of how you can maximize that portfolio and earn from that. But initially, to get into startup investments, don't have too much of expectation that போடுறதெல்லாம் வந்து கேரட் லைன் ஆகிடும், இல்லை வந்து like what he said, the other companies which like OYO rooms மாதிரி grow ஆகிடும்னு இல்லை. You will have to find your way. And for that, the best answer கேட்டிங்கன்னா, if I have to give, எப்படி சார் இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு கஷ்டமான இன்வெஸ்ட்மெண்ட் கிளாஸ் இருக்குது, இதில் எப்படி நாங்கள் வர்றது அப்படின்ற ஒரு ஆன்சர் கேட்டிங்கன்னா, பெஸ்ட் வே இஸ் டு கோ-இன்வெஸ்ட். இப்போ வந்து 20 வருஷமாக சந்திரசேகர் சார் வந்து பார்த்து இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்காரு, தேவானந்த் சார் வந்து பார்த்து இன்வெஸ்ட். ஸோ இவங்க எங்கே வந்து ஷார்ட் லிஸ்ட் பண்ணி இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணுறாங்களோ அங்கே ஒரு சின்ன அமௌண்ட் நீங்கள் கோ-இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணலாம். ஸோ ஸ்டார்ட் அப் சிங்கம் ஆஃபர்ஸ் தட் கோ-இன்வெஸ்ட்மெண்ட் ஆப்பர்ச்சுனிட்டி டு கம் இன் டு இன்வெஸ்ட் ஸ்டார்டிங் ஃப்ரம் 5 lakhs. You can come on board, and that is something that I'd want Arun to speak about. If people here want to invest as HNIs and co-invest with these leaders, what is the way they can reach you?
See, for angel investments, or if you are a first-time investment, it's always risky if you are actually going ahead and investing through directly with. So I'll start from my season 1 experience. If you look at the season 1, the questions that were asked by the first-time investors were more about how passionate are you, or what has been your journey, etc. or the questions that were asked were limited to, as an angel investor or the first time HNI investor, the questions were limited to knowing more about the startup and knowing a little bit about the founder. That's all. But the same investor have gone ahead and co-invested along with certain other investors like native lead angels, Chennai angels, who have come into picture. And today I see the same set of investors asking questions like, what is your SOM, or what is your market fitment, or how is your product market fit? They have evolved as an investor as such. So as much as it is risky, it is always actually going to, it is good to have somebody who will actually handhold you through the process, who will actually take you through the process. So one way that we offer is we actually bring in investors and we provide some really experienced founders and really experienced investors to actually go ahead with your journey. And your risk is also to an extent mitigated because you're not doing the analysis paralysis. What you're doing is you're just following somebody who's a champion and you're just following his footsteps. So that's one thing that we do.
So how they can get on board as an angel investor? Is there a process? Of course, you have a QR code here. If you can talk about the process.
So it's a pretty simple process. So you can actually go ahead and scan this or go to our website, startupsingam.com. No pressure. Just go to the website. You can apply as a investor. And my team will do a little bit of due diligence because as much as due diligence we do for the startups, we also do a little bit of due diligence in terms of are you the right kind of investor for the startups? So because quite a lot of times what happens is people expect immediate returns, dividends, Madhuri. That will not work in a startup investment. So my team actually does a small understanding about what is your appetite and they will go ahead and suggest whether it is workable or not. So if anybody is interested, if you think that this is something which I want to experience, maybe you don't want to invest now, but you just want to actually be a part of the action, feel it, just come into log into our website, startupsingam.com, or just scan this QR and just put in your basic information and my team will reach out to you. And hopefully I'll see a few of you as a part of the journey in season 2 or in season 3.
Thank you, Arun. So first season, 13 episodes, 36 startups, about 45 crore committed and 25 crore deployed. So that was the first season numbers. The second season now, because it's done well in 13 episodes in 3 months, Vijay TV and Hotstar came to us and said, "Apdiye double panikonga." So this time we are doing a 6 months season with how many? 26 episodes, 75 startups for which 3,000 people have applied. So all these three gentlemen are very core part of Startup Singam. So what's in store and what you're looking forward to in the second season? Maybe we should end up with that particular question. Devanand sir, you can go.
See, second season, like, yeah, we are simply excited with expecting and scientific companies to come in. Even in the first portion of season 2, like, we have been given around or 300 companies ko database like they are shortlisted or 75 companies kana individual pitches kadachadu. Adala we ourselves have nearly about shortlisted about 8 to 9 companies to invest. So again, second season 2 another second phase vara irukku. And first season oda second season la vandu quality of companies on different ah irukku. Like we are getting a lot of more matured companies coming into play. Investors, founders coming with more awareness, more clarity on their business plan. So இப்போ actually நிறைய opportunities கண்ணுக்கு தெரியுது. We are really like looking forward to participate fully into the season 2 and maximum எவ்வளோ companiesல invest பண்ண முடியுமோ we are interested to participate in those companies.
Chandrasekar sir.
நான் சீசன் 1ல இல்லை, பட் சீசன் 2 கண்டிப்பாக ரொம்பவே நான் பாராட்டணும். ஏன் அப்படின்னா, I think after seeing the season 1, what season 2 has done is, no more Startup Singam is a stage for fundraise. It's a platform for sustainable entrepreneurship. So give them a big round of applause, guys. Because entrepreneurship has to be sustainable. It's no more about fundraise. Fundraise is only an event. Can you sustain? Can you prolong? That's season 2 எனக்கு காமிச்சிருக்கு. So I'm very, very proud of it. நான் 11 startups review பண்ணேன். அதுலேயே நான் என்ன பார்த்தேன் அப்படின்னா, the ecosystem is maturing thanks to you guys. Second, founders are sharper. Minala na word வந்து smarter-ஆ இருப்பானான்னு பார்ப்பேன், but they are very, very sharp. So founders are sharper, which is a big, hats off to you. More importantly, what I'm saying is that the ideas are execution ready. முன்னாடிலாம் வந்து ஐடியாஸை பார்த்து நாங்கள் நிறையா பேசுவோம், இப்படி பண்ணும்பா அப்படி பண்ணும்பான்னு, பட் they are almost execution ready, which I think is fantastic. But the last piece is where I got so much motivated. I think you have created a beautiful support network. For example, you have something called investment readiness report. So before even we investors want to discuss with the startup, we get a report after we are shortlisted to understand what is the good and not so good about the startup. So we can plan in our mind how should we have the conversation. Secondly, I think you also have a team which is educating the investors in terms of how they should go about the investment process itself. I think idella paaka pogumbodhu the due diligence, the curation, especially you created a platform via Sanchi Connect where we were able to understand the startup in a much more better way. You also gave the freedom to us to say no to those which we didn't like. I think that is something which is very, very commendable. So there's a huge expectation from Startup Singam Season 2, and I wish you the very, very best for the season.
Thank you, sir. Arun?
So I think between Devanand sir and Shekharji, we have covered most of the things, but something which I have learned from my mentors, some of the great mentors in India in terms of investment. One is, startup investing is not predicting the unicorns or predicting the best startups that is there in the market. It's all about finding the right early momentum, going with the flow, wherever there is a gap, fill in, and be a part of a long, successful journey. And I think that is what most of our investors have signed up for, and I'm glad to be a part of their journey, the startup's journey, and to create such a platform. Thank you.
Thanks, Arun. Before we take some audience participation and questions, sir, இப்போ ஸ்டார்ட் அப் சிங்கம் ஆஸ் அ பிளாட்ஃபார்ம் கிரியேட் பண்ணுறப்போ எங்களுக்கு நிறைய பேர் சொன்னாங்க, இது மாதிரி வந்து தமிழ்நாட்டில் ஓரளவுக்கு வந்து க்ரோத் ஆயிடுச்சுன்னா அப்புறம் நாங்கள் பெங்களூரை நோக்கி போயிடுறோம், இல்லை பாம்பே நோக்கி போயிடுறோம் அப்படின்னு. ஏன் நம்ம தமிழ்நாட்டில் நம்ம தமிழர்களுக்கு ஒரு பிளாட்ஃபார்ம் கிரியேட் பண்ணக்கூடாது அப்படின்ற ஒரு ஏக்கத்தில், ஏன்னா நாங்கள் நிறைய அடி வாங்கினோம் ஃபஸ்ட்டு 20 வருஷம் பிஸ்னஸ் பண்ணதில். ஸோ எங்களால் என்ன அனுபவிக்க முடியலையோ அதை வந்து ஒரு பிளாட்ஃபார்மில் ரோல் பண்ணலாம் அப்படின்ற தாட்டில் தான் ஆரம்பித்தோம். பட் இதில் வந்து ஒரு டிவி பிளாட்ஃபார்மாக எடுத்தால் அது வந்து மக்களுக்கும் போய் சேருது அப்படின்ற ஒரு அடிஷ்னல் எட்ஜ் வருது. ஸோ மெனி ஆஃப் த ஸ்டார்ட் அப்ஸ் ஹூ ஹவ் கம் ஆன் டு த பிளாட்ஃபார்ம் ஹவ் சீன் 5 to 10x growth in their sales. So true to our vision, not just simplifying fundraise, also amplifying success stories. ஏன்னா நிறைய நல்ல விஷயம் நம்ம இங்கே பிஸ்னஸில் பண்ணுறோம். இங்கே நம்ம ஒருத்தருக்கு பின்னாடி ஒரு கதை இருக்குது, ஒருத்தருக்கு பின்னாடி ஒரு பிஸ்னஸ் இருக்குது. அதை வந்து நம்மளால் எடுத்துகிட்டு போய் சொல்ல முடியல உலகத்துக்கு. ஸோ இது ஒரு ஸ்டேஜ் கிடைக்குது. அதுவும் வந்து நாங்கள் ஃபஸ்ட்டு ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணப்போ இத்தனை ஓகே டெலிவிஷனில் ஒரு ரீச் இருக்குன்னு தெரியும், பட் இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு ரீச் இருக்குமா அப்படின்னு எங்களுக்கும் வந்து ஒரு வியந்தது. என்னென்னா ஒரு Tier 2, Tier 3 சிட்டியில் கூட this became a dining table conversation and people started speaking about அந்த ஸ்டார்ட் அப் ஏன் ஃபண்டிங் எடுக்கல, இவங்களுக்கு ஏன் காசு கொடுக்க மாட்டேன்ட்டாங்க, அந்த இன்வெஸ்டரே இப்படி பேசுகிறாங்க. ஸோ நீங்கள் வந்து வீட்டில் உட்காந்து சூப்பர் சிங்கர் இல்லை குக் வித் கோமாளி டிஸ்கஸ் பண்ணாமல் அதோடு சேர்ந்து ஸ்டார்ட் அப் வந்து டிஸ்கஸ் பண்ணுறது தான் ஸ்டார்ட் அப் சிங்கமோட பிக்கெஸ்ட் அச்சீவ்மெண்ட்டாக இருந்தது. ஸோ how many of you see Startup Singam here? So at least 20%, 30%. I hope that season 2, all of you here 100% see Startup Singam. So it is a contribution towards nation building, and if we can encourage and develop entrepreneurs, I think that's one way nation can go forward. With that, I would like to open up this session for questions, please. So can I have some more? Yeah. We have the gentleman there. There, you can take a mic behind us.
Sir, thank you for such an insightful session actually. I'm Faisal. I have a quick question. Since like you already know, most people won't be investing on something that gains interest. So we are okay with, or a set of people are okay with investing in a risky investment. But what would be the ROI, or how long can we anticipate to wait before we see any results? Thank you so much.
So first of all, Faisal sir, thank you for asking that question. I think it depends on the nature of investor. For example, when I began as an angel investor, my focus was not in terms of the returns itself. My focus was, do I like the business? Do I like the founder? Do I have the experience? Can I also mentor them to success? So you can also find out investors who are very motivated and passionate about what you're doing, because they will have this thought process how they can support you to success. What is the support? If in our case, I can bring in more funds also. I can even help on the GTM strategy in certain markets. I can even help them on some of the manufacturing aspects that they need if they are into manufacturing. So you will have to search who is the investor, what is the mindset that they have, what is it that they're looking for. If a fund as Bala rightly said, it is not my own money. I have also put money, but I've also taken money from outside because it's a fund. Fund is a life. 7 plus 2 years, 9 years life. There is a IRR that I've committed to investors. In IRR, I've said 20 to 25%. I am under pressure to deliver that IRR because if I don't, people have put the money, I've got all the rights to ask me. So my only request is for family office. They are very patient capital. I don't think they are looking, at a very, very, very structured way of, getting the returns. So it can be angels, it can be your friends, it can be family offices, it can be a venture capital. Venture capital, stage there is micro VC, early stage, growth stage, late stage. Ellarku vidyasama irukku in terms of how they want to invest. So number kaila da irukku in terms of researching the investor and then going and meeting them. The only humble request is don't spray and pray. Just because you see investors, don't go immediately share the idea because you will get disappointed when they say no. Because that's not in their system.
Yeah.
How would this be from the investor perspective? The return on investment or something that they are trying to put in? Maybe a small investment, like you said, like we can start from 5 lakhs or 10 lakhs, something like that.
Correct. So as an angel investor, how many times can it help us, to grow? For example, when I started my angel investment journey, I had a thesis. The thesis was, in the sector la invest பண்ணுவேன், இதான் check size போடுவேன், or in the range of check size போடுவேன், and எங்கெங்க என்னால mentor பண்ண முடியுமோ அதை நான் கண்டிப்பா அந்த choice எடுத்துக்க போறேன். This was a thesis I did. So when I began, I came with a thesis like investing anywhere between 2 to 10 lakhs in segments like consumer, technology, and then at that time manufacturing was something very closer to my heart. So அதெல்லாம் தான் நான் பண்ணிருந்தேன். Of course it has changed over a period of time. But then as an angel, it's a multiple, minimum 2x, 3x kachale, I'll be very happy. But as a fund, when I say 20 to 25% IRR, I'll be very careful in terms of the multiples that I get. Because I have to also demonstrate that IRR has come, not just the multiple. As a family office, I'm pretty sure, they would have their own way in terms of what synergy they want to add to the business, because that synergy can lead to much more, better profitability. So they may have a view of profitability. For a fund, we may not have a view of dividends. அதெல்லாம் எடுக்கணும்னு ஒரு view இருக்காது. So angel investor, VC, have got this notion of either a multiple or IRR. Family offices and some of the corporates who invest, called the corporate VC, they may have even the notion of dividends and therefore the capital gains.
Next question, please.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
We are representing Dravida Petroleum LLC. Okay. So we are a Dubai-based company owning an oil field in Tamil Nadu, awarded by ONGC. Okay. It's a producing field. It's not an exploration field. It's a producing field. And we are looking for investments. But I want to understand, Startup Singam will be interested in oil and gas projects, or you have a limitation with not with oil and gas projects or something like that.
Arun, you want to take or I'll take this question? I'll go ahead and take. Okay. Sir, so how we have designed the platform currently is we are sector agnostic, stage agnostic. But large percentage of our investors who are currently there are early stage investors, right? Who are investing from seed to growth, right? Yours is oil and gas is maybe in millions that you would need investment.
Sorry, that's what I want to clarify. It's like, see, it's a different model which our founder has created, because when we say oil and gas, everybody eyes opens and it always hits the millions. Okay, it's not that. Our model is entirely different. We are also operating in the pool funding model only. As good as even 10 lakhs to crores is not a problem. Yeah. So that is the kind of funding we are looking at. But
so you should definitely apply, sir. Startupsingam.com. Please apply. We'll evaluate and we'll see how we can onboard you.
Definitely, as Devanand said, see, we are having a clear business model, clear as well as producing well. We have a clear production strategy and we have a clear written model as well.
So this platform is for all Tamilians across the world. So regardless whether you are in India or UAE or
I am a very Chennai guy. Tamil Nadu ஆள் தான்.
சரி.
ஃபீல்டு தமிழ்நாட்டில் தான் இருக்கு. ஓகே, மயிலாடுதுறை, Bonagiri
I think
and
you
Neyveli.
got your question answered.
Yeah.
Was that your question, so that you can apply on the platform?
Yeah.
Keep it short,
Okay.
please.
Please
Keep it
apply,
short.
sir. We'll
We're
go to the
running
next
short of
question.
time.
Thank you.
Sir, over to you. So you can.
Very good evening, everyone. So I have a small question. Let's say somebody is already into a established retail business, a fashion retail business, and looking to expand, looking to get into the new markets. So how do they get the investments done? Thank you.
It's a very good question, so thank you for that question. So when you're already established, that first of all gives confidence to the investor in terms of the capability to run the business. Because many a times, founders have great ideas, but they don't have execution capability. But since you're already running a business, where you have seen the ups and downs, that gives greater comfort to the investor. Next question, who is that investor? So if you typically approach a venture capital without knowing what is the streams of segments that they look at, then they will not be interested in investing in you. So a VC is of two types. One is called MSME VC, the other is a startup world VC. There are a lot of MSME VCs, they're called as SME venture capital funds, who love to invest in other MSMEs. And they have their own ticket sizes. Okay, for example, if you're looking at let's say 100 crore plus, there are funds, which are meant only for that. A size of, let's say 5 to 10, there are funds which are meant for that. Family offices who definitely, show a lot of interest in terms of investing in established businesses who want to expand, who want to get into other segments. So you will have to do a study in terms of how you are able to show them the skin in the game that you have, because you are already an established entrepreneur. So the investor will always look for skin in the game. So what is it that you're putting in terms of your effort, time, as well as money, the initial capital, so that you're able to demonstrate to the investor in terms of how credible the business model is for them to come in and then support you. So I think if you do that, there'll be a tremendous interest. But as I said, you'll have to first filter what is the segment that the VC is interested in, whether the VC is a startup VC or an MSME VC. I think that makes a huge difference. Of course, there are family offices, there are HNIs, there are ultra HNIs, who may be willing to look at it. So I think you've got plethora of opportunity, but then the effort has to be at your end to filter and then reach out to them.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Any last question you want to take? No, I think that's good. And thank you so much. It was great being at the UEF, and wish all the members of UEF fraternity a great 2006 ahead. Happy New Year. Thank you so much. 2026.
Thank you so much. That was such a thought-provoking and insightful session. Thank you so much, Bala sir and the entire team. Arun sir, Chandrasekar sir and Devanand sir. Can I call upon Mr. Umar, founder of Go Buttons? With big round of applause, can we have Mr. Umar, please, to felicitate our guests? That's a token of love for Mr. Devanand sir. A big round of applause, please. To Mr. Chandrasekar sir. I call upon Mr. Sheikh on stage, please. A big round of applause for Mr. Sheikh. To honor Mr. Arun, CEO of Startup Singam. Thank you so much for your time, sir. Over to Mr. Bala. Thank you for being a wonderful moderator today and making the interesting session. Thank you once again.
So Alhamdulillah, UEF is a platform where we collaborate with each other, and this is a classic example how Startup Singam has collaborated with UEF and shared the amazing knowledge that they have with the experience in investing in startups. So let's all make use of this session as well. And the very next session that's going to be coming on, how do you build an international brand, by our very own organizing committee member, Mr. Rafiq Bhai from Zoho, ex-Zoho member who's been the creative head of Zoho over the past 20 years. Welcoming him on stage. Thank you. Yeah, please. We'll just have a group photo and then we'll call the next speakers on stage, please.